Fire extinguishers. Fire extinguishers are very common. They're everywhere. But do you know how to use them in the event of an emergency? Fire extinguishers should be classified as first aid equipment, emergency treatment until professional help arrives. The very first rule to remember is that life safety is paramount. This means that if your life is endangered by attempting to extinguish a fire with a fire extinguisher, don't do it. Make sure you or others are not put in a dangerous situation, and make sure that you can exit the building if the fire gets out of hand. Life safety is the most important part of extinguishing fires. Next, you need to understand what fire extinguishers are all about, how they work, and what extinguishers can be used on what types of fires. There are classes of fire extinguishers, such as Class A, which extinguishes wood, paper, and similar combustible materials. Usually, these are water-based or dry chemical extinguishers. Class B extinguishers are used on flammable liquid fires. Class C extinguishers are used on electrical fires, and Class D extinguishers are used on burning metal-type fires. Normally, you won't see 4 different types of extinguishers sitting around waiting to be used for each class of fire. The vast majority of extinguishers are classified as ABC type extinguishers. This means they can be used on almost any type of fire, particularly Class A, Class B, and Class C fires, which are the most common types of fires. If you do have a Class A extinguisher, which is generally a water or acid-based extinguishing agent, do not use this type of extinguisher on any type of electrical fire. Obviously, water or liquids don't mix with electricity. You may also find a halon extinguisher in areas where there are computers or electronics equipment. Halon is a very clean extinguishing agent and is used on sensitive electronic equipment because it extinguishes fires but doesn't leave a harmful residue on the equipment. If you were to use an ABC dry chemical type extinguisher on electronic equipment, the dry chemical agent would be almost as damaging to the equipment as the actual fire. The point we're trying to make is use the proper extinguisher for the class of fire you're trying to extinguish. Extinguishers should be inspected monthly to make sure they're in the proper place, inspected to make sure they aren't damaged, and on those extinguishers with pressure gauges to make sure the gauge is in the green, indicating the proper pressure. If the pressure is too high or too low, it should be reported to management so it can be serviced. Every extinguisher should be inspected monthly, and this inspection report should be maintained in your files as documentation that the inspection was completed. Some extinguishers may have a space on the service tag to indicate this monthly inspection. Once a year, your fire extinguishers must be inspected and serviced by an authorized fire extinguisher service. They normally recharge the extinguisher, inspect it, and place an annual service tag on the unit, indicating it has been serviced. It's important that everyone be properly trained in the use of fire extinguishers. In an emergency, you need to know how to operate the equipment to extinguish the fire. If you don't know how to operate a fire extinguisher, be sure to ask your supervisor. Many people have never used a fire extinguisher, so ask if you're not sure. There's a simple word to use to remind you how to use an extinguisher. The word is pass. After you lift the extinguisher from its resting place, think of the word pass. Pull the pin. Normally, there is a breakable seal on the handle, and after you remove this seal, you pull the pin. This allows the handle to be pressed down when you're ready to release the extinguishing agent. The A part of pass is aim the nozzle. Aim the nozzle toward the base of the flame. Normally you want to stand about 10 feet away from the fire because if you release the extinguishing agent too close to the fire, you could spread the fire. Fire extinguishers are under pressure, and releasing the extinguishing agent too close to the fire could cause the fire to spread to other areas. Okay, you're about 10 feet from the fire, and you've aimed the nozzle toward the base of the flame. The first S in pass is squeeze the handle. This expels the extinguishing agent. The last S in pass is sweep from side to side. This sweeping motion allows the extinguishing agent to evenly cover the majority of the fire. Pass. Fairly simple. Pull the pin, aim the nozzle, squeeze the handle, and sweep from side to side. One important part of your training is to always call the fire department. A small fire can quickly get out of hand, and if it does, fire extinguishers won't help. You need fire professionals, and if you waste time by not calling them until a fire gets out of hand, it may be too late. Always call the fire department. They would much rather respond to a fire that has been extinguished than to arrive when a fire is out of control. Again, life safety is of paramount importance. Never take chances. The best advice is to prevent fires by good housekeeping, maintaining your work areas in a good, clean condition, and use proper procedures when using, storing, handling, and disposing of any combustible or flammable liquid. Take fire prevention seriously, because a small fire can quickly get out of hand and turn into a major catastrophe. If your work burns to the ground, you're out of a job. Fire extinguishers are a very necessary part of emergency equipment, and it's up to you to know how to properly use those extinguishers if the need arises. If you're not sure how to use an extinguisher, or you don't know where they're located, ask questions. Keep exit doors unblocked, know where all exits are located, and plan your escape before an emergency arises. You're the most important part of fire prevention, and it's up to you to accept that responsibility every day on every job. Remember the word pass. Pull the pin, aim the nozzle, squeeze the handle, and sweep from side to side. Thank you.